Yo, what's going on, YouTube? And welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy Kevin Forte. And there's some stuff going on in Chicago. It has been a busy season for the Blackhawks. Mid-season, we're seeing a lot of stuff going on in the organization. They fired their general manager, Stan Bowman. He's been there throughout all the success they had in the mid-2010s. They get rid of Jeremy Colleton, who was the guy that replaced, obviously, their, historical coach in Joel Quenneville. And now we're starting to see the fallout on the roster, because now there's going to be some change on this hockey team to the point where we're going to see on-ice roster changes with new faces and new managers and new thoughts and ideas. The direction of the Blackhawks is going to change, and I don't know if people are ready for that, including myself. But we may be in store for an interesting season the rest of the way in Chicago. So we're going to go over that today. So the Chicago Blackhawks right now, here's the context of the Blackhawks. This is a team that has had lots of success in recent years. And really one of the more, successful teams in the NHL that I have seen in my time of watching hockey in general. And recently things haven't gone well in Chicago. The last really 3 to 4, maybe 5 years, the Blackhawks have not been the same team, and ever since they won that 2016 Stanley Cup, they have not won a playoff series since then. And going into 2022, we're expecting them to miss the playoffs. This will be 6 consecutive seasons that they have not won a Stanley Cup playoff series. So, with that said, what is next in Chicago? Their new general manager, Kyle Davidson, and their new head coach, Derek King, who, fittingly enough, replaced Jeremy Colleton as the head coach in Rockford with the Ice Hogs, the AHL team. There is going to be some change in Chicago, and we're looking at new faces, general manager, head coach. You look at their roster, you look at their record. They're 7-12-2 on the season. They've got 20. Basically, they're winning 1 every 3 games. 7 wins in 21 games. That's not going to cut it, especially in the NHL in a city like Chicago. Their attendance is down. This is usually a city that, United Center, an arena that usually sells out the building every night. A regular sellout every night, and you're usually filling it to capacity. That has not been the case this season. They are actually around 96 to 97% capacity in the United Center. So, with that little background, let's take a look at some guys that could be traded in Chicago. Now, this was a very interesting one to start from Mark Lazarus. If the Blackhawks look to rebuild, they may need to look to move one or both of Patrick Kane and Jonathan Toews. So we're going to start off with a big punch right off the bat, and we're going to discuss that. So these guys have been around forever in Chicago. They've gotten rid of everybody, the rest of the core. Brent Seabrook got traded to Tampa Bay as a salary cap dump, so he's no longer a part of the organization. Duncan Keith got traded this past summer to Ken Holland up in Edmonton. Corey Crawford retired, and obviously Joel Quenneville is gone. So all that's left right now is Patrick Kane and Jonathan Toews. Patrick Sharp, Marian Hossa, they've all retired. So these are the last 2 guys left of that group. They signed a big contract back in the day. They signed a contract together back in, they both signed a deal, an 8-year, $84 million contract back on July 9th of 2014. They signed them together as a package. They each have 2 years left on their contracts. They both have no move clauses attached to those deals, which is going to make things more complicated. They're going to have to waive that no move clause. So that adds to more of the context, which I'll talk about in a second. And combined together, these 2 players are taking up 25.8% of the Chicago Blackhawks salary, 12.9% of the salary cap between the both of them. Well, between each of them individually. $10.5 million between both of them. That is $21 million per season to have Patrick Kane and Jonathan Toews on your roster. They will be unrestricted free agents in the summer of 2024, or in the summer of 2023, which next summer and the summer after that. So not this offseason, but the season after that. So you have the rest of this season and a full season next year of these two players left in Chicago, which makes you question, you're going to get more value for them if they have more term on their deal. So hypothetically, let's just say there's a cup contender team right now, and they're probably not going to be able to get these two guys. But I'm just saying, you're looking at these guys, you have two windows of opportunity. If you were to trade for them today, you have them for the rest of this season and next season locked up, and then you could figure out what you're going to do moving forward. Patrick Kane and Jonathan Toews as well, they're 33-year-old players. And Jonathan Toews is the more concerning one of the two. He has not played a full season recently. He's been out injured. He obviously missed all of last season. That's going to hurt his trade stock as well. Patrick Kane has continued to put up some really good numbers, but you could tell that he's not the same player he was, and probably more so the fact that he hasn't really had the depth around him, or the players around him for that matter, to continue to put up the points that he has. But he has still been a domineering player in that uniform with the Blackhawks. So in a trade, you're obviously not going to get the same value for Patrick Kane that you will for Jonathan Toews. Jonathan Toews just doesn't have the games played and the productivity that his line mate in Patrick Kane has had. So with that said, what is the value of these two guys, and what kind of trade could you get? Now, Jonathan Toews is a guy that I see going to Canada, a Canadian team in particular. Jonathan Toews is from Manitoba, Winnipeg, Manitoba. Now, the problem with that is I don't see where the Jets are going to have the cap space necessarily to bring him in, and quite honestly, they've got enough centers there where they don't really need Jonathan Toews. They've got Pierre-Luc Dubois. They've got guys like Andrew Kopp. They've got Mark Scheifele. Where does Jonathan Toews fit in terms of the center role for this team? Do you maybe look at a team out west? You know the Calgary Flames have been eyeing up a guy like Jack Eichel. Jonathan Toews is in no way Jack Eichel, but maybe he fits better under the Daryl Sutter system in terms of a more defensive-minded team. Jonathan Toews could perform quite nicely there. Or if you're looking at an extreme, the Vancouver Canucks are looking to blow things up there. Do you maybe make a trade with the Vancouver Canucks in order to bring Jonathan Toews over to the West Coast up in Western BC? So there's some considerable teams there in Canada that I think could be a fit for Jonathan Toews. It seems like a stretch, but there's definitely something to be said about that. Now, obviously for Patrick Kane, the easy one is he's from Buffalo, New York, and the Buffalo Sabres are the perfect fit there. They do have the cap space, but you also wonder if they were so interested on, they were so keen on not retaining salary in Jack Eichel to bring $10.5 million in a Patrick Kane deal at some point. Now, Kevin Adams has made it clear he wants players that want to play in Buffalo. And if Patrick Kane waives his no-move clause and is willing to go to the Buffalo Sabres, now could there be a fit there? Now, the problem is, if you're the Blackhawks, the question is, what are you looking for in return? Are you looking for draft picks from the Buffalo Sabres? Because the Sabres probably aren't going to give you that. But if it's a price that maybe includes, say, a guy that's been struggling like Dylan Cousins or Casey Middlestat, or dare I even say Rasmus Dahlin, does that maybe come into the equation? Now, I think that's a lot for Buffalo. If I'm Buffalo, I don't know how keen I am on making that deal, especially for a 33-year-old player in Patrick Kane. As good as he is right now, how good will he? What's the thought going to be of Patrick Kane by the end of his contract in less than 2 years from now? Are we going to still be saying, yeah, Patrick Kane is that really good player that was worth giving up Middlestat or Cousins or Rasmus Dahlin or both or multiple? Is that what you're looking at? Is that something that is realistic or attainable? That's the other thing. What is the value of these guys? Is Jonathan Toews worth a first and a second? Depending on the team, yeah, maybe. But if you ask another team that may be more interested in him, that may not even come up in the conversation. So those are two guys that we've already talked about now for 10 minutes that you could really realistically look at as trade options to clear out cap space to make some more moves. Now, if you're looking at some guys in order to acquire more assets and draft picks, the Blackhawks forward Alex DeBrincat could be looking to make a contract of $8 to $10 million AAV on his next deal. That's another reason you would be looking to move out guys like Taves and Kane, is in order to renegotiate contracts with a guy like DeBrincat, because you're probably not trading DeBrincat. I don't think that makes much sense. This is a guy you can build around, as well as the Jones brothers, DeBrincat. You could build around those guys. But Mark Lazarus also said if the Blackhawks look to trade Dominik Kubalik, they probably won't get a first rounder for him. You're probably looking at a second and maybe a fourth and a fifth or something like that, a fourth or a fifth. For a guy like Kubalik, the Blackhawks have not been able to fetch a mid-round pick in a trade offer for Dylan Strome. This is all from Mark Lazarus. So you're wondering what the status is of a Dylan Strome trade. Could they even trade him if they wanted to? This may be a guy that ends up getting waived because there's just no interest in a guy like Dylan Strome right now. And that's where I really am with the Chicago Blackhawks, is really it's those two guys, because the focal point is if they make a trade, they're going to have to move out salary cap. That is the main reason they're making that move, as well as to bring in more prospects and cheaper contracts to keep DeBrincat and bring some talent in around him. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. As a Blackhawks fan, what do you want to see the Blackhawks do? Would you be okay with seeing some guys that, let's be honest, they're going to get their banners, they're going to get their numbers raised in the banners in number 19 in Taves and number 88 in Kane? Are you okay with seeing them get traded to make this team better right now? Because I think that is going to be coming up in the conversation. Is it worth having these guys for the next 2 years, eating up all this salary, and we're not having success? Again, you look at when this contract was signed, 2014, 2 years later, the Blackhawks won that Stanley Cup and have not won a playoff series since then. So let me know what you guys think about the Chicago Blackhawks down below. Guys, as always, thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you again next time.